Welcome to SVG-TV News for Wednesday, April 12th, 2017. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves has revealed that the Kanan airport has been fully paid for. The leader of this country made the announcement at the opening of the Glossy Bay Marina on the Grenadine island of Kanan on Monday. PM Gonsalves, who is also responsible for ports and airports, said the air facility, which was completed in 2007, is an important asset to air travel to this country, as wealthy investors like to ensure that they can utilize their jets and other aircraft for comfortable travel. He also pointed out that the Kanan airport was completed before the construction of the Argyle International Airport began.
Spended the money here on the airport and completed it before we began to construct the Argyle International Airport, because we saw the importance of a jet airport here in Kanan. There are several persons with including very important political personalities and people in the media. They didn't want me to build the airport here. They say if it is to be built, let the investors build it. Why are you going to put the money there? But I knew that once we had built the airport, other things would follow. Dermot Desmond told me that he wouldn't have even looked on Kanan if he couldn't bring his jet to land here. We have to understand not just how investors operate, but very wealthy investors. I just want to say that for all concerned, we have paid off for the money which we borrowed to build the airport.
The Prime Minister also emphasized the importance of getting investors to help facilitate the development of the villages on the island to an improved standard.
There are links between these places. It's tremendous. And of course, we have to improve what we have at Cameron Beach, and I know there's a proposal for that. And I see proposals for us to work together in relation to the village. I come to that last, because we can't be having these extraordinarily top-of-the-line facilities in the south and in the north without the village being further improved. We have made significant improvements, but we need to improve those further. And I see that as an obligation of the investors to work very much with the government to develop the village. I think that is a very important thing.
Without a thriving banana industry, SVG will continue to experience a large gap between its imports and exports. That's according to former opposition leader Arnim Eustace as he spoke on the NDP's New Time radio program on Monday on various issues of concern in relation to the economy of the country. Providing figures from last year, Eustace stated that for the first 4 months of 2016, SVG recorded imports of goods to the tune of $665 million, whilst exported only $85 million. Eustace stated that for the economic situation of SVG to improve, there must be the revitalization of the banana industry, which has made significant contribution to the Vincentian economy in the past, and noted that exports to the international markets is also necessary.
The contribution of bananas and the rest of agriculture to this economy was of the order of 25%. 25%. The whole of agriculture can't do that now. If they do 6-8%, you're talking plenty. But people continue to have lands idle, have jobs which are far less rewarding than when they were banana farmers, and have more difficulty making a living. That is reality. We have to get back to exports. of bananas outside of the region. Nothing wrong with the regional exports. We have to earn some foreign exchange too.
Eustace added that there are stakeholders in SVG both in the private and public sectors who are capable of providing the necessary support to revive the banana industry.
I am saying much more can be done to improve the livelihood of the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. You have a lot of old talk. Much more can be done in practical terms. The effort you have to put in to revive banana export to the UK is not beyond us. That is something we can do. We have the institutional capacity and we have the private capacity. Private individuals who are called farmers. You have members of staff of the Ministry of Agriculture who are knowledgeable, very well educated, and you have farmers who are businessmen, who know their way around, and who I'm sure can bring much effort to bear in this regard.
The St. Vincent Chocolate Company is set to become the first Caribbean chocolate company to have its chocolate selected to make Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II special Easter egg, pointing out that the Invention Chocolate was selected by Prestat Chocolate, a prestigious English chocolate company, to make this year's special Easter egg. Representative of the St. Vincent Cocoa Company, Andrew Hadley, expressed his elation that the company was chosen, noting that it sends a strong message about the product.
So we're very, very privileged that we have been selected for the Queen's Easter egg. And it's really the first chocolate company from the Caribbean that has been selected for the Queen's Easter egg. So we feel really, really privileged that Invention Chocolate has been selected. For it to be selected by Prestat means that Invention Chocolate is of the highest quality. And he chose Invention Chocolate because of that quality and because of the special taste that comes from growing cocoa here in St. Vincent, and the special varieties of cocoa that we have here in St. Vincent lends itself, the soils and the climate lends itself to producing, one of the best chocolates in the world.
Hadley said all Vincentians should be proud of this major achievement, especially all farmers involved in cocoa production.
This is helping us. So we've got so many inquiries now all over the world because of this news, and we're actually starting to sell our chocolate in London, Piccadilly. At this moment, it's for sale in Piccadilly. So that's our first export of Invention Chocolate. And hopefully, we're going to be able to expand and sell our chocolate all over the world eventually. But this will take time, and we need to get the quantities available first before we can really start pushing the chocolate further abroad. But the great thing about Invention Chocolate and the chocolate that's been selected is it has come from all the farmers here in St. Vincent, that cocoa farmers here in St. Vincent. So this is a reflection of not just myself and the company, but a reflection of Invention cocoa farmers.
Noting that the company continues to explore avenues for expanding and enhancing the product as well as the company, Hadley added that Prestat's selection will go a long way in promoting the Invention Chocolate.
We've just really built our first factory in Kingstown, which is only about 1 year old, and we're always expanding, using new machines, trying to develop a new product, trying to improve our product as well. And I think eventually the way we're going, that if this does happen, that we're going to probably have to move out of our present premises and move to a larger place eventually. But we've got to try and make this work first, and we've got to try and make it sustainable first, before we can jump ahead.
In other news, Queen's Counsel Panel Campbell is of the opinion that law should be included in this country's education curriculum from the primary level. His comments came on his weekly Law and You television program on SVG-TV on Monday night. Campbell stressed the importance for persons to have a sound education of the law. He noted that this can only be achieved if law is taught to persons at an early stage.
The things that mattered most to us were not taught to us. It seems to us of the educational forum of the people that law as a subject must be taught at primary and secondary level. This is what we said at the time. It seems to us in the educational forum of the people that law as a subject must be taught at primary and secondary level. We believe it is as important as any other subject because, for better or for worse, the law pursues us from the womb to the tomb. A birth certificate and a death certificate are all legal documents. So is a passport, a driver's license, a bank book. Every letter you write may be of legal importance.
The Queen's Counsel further noted that the lack of knowledge on the law has placed many persons in society at a disadvantage, as their ignorance of the law have allowed them to be treated unjustly.
What their legal rights are. I repeat, one of the most distressing results of this is that people do not know what their legal rights are. Each week, people are summarily dismissed from their jobs. People sustain injuries during the course of their employment. People are slandered. And people suffer countless other violations of their legal rights without being aware of their legal remedies. Thus, ignorance of the law can be very unjust.
Celebrating the 20th anniversary of the Law and You program, Campbell expressed his gratitude for the support he has received over the years from persons whom he said have benefited from the program.
It has been a pleasure to know that a dream is being fulfilled. And I am quite convinced that since the Law and You has been on the air, thousands of Vincentians are better off for the knowledge they have received from this program. I'm not blowing my own trumpet, but if it were the reverse, something would have been wrong. If after 20 years, I couldn't sit here and tell you that I feel confident that people have benefited from the program, then I might as well have closed down the program as wasting your time. But I am convinced that the program has not been a waste of time. I'm convinced that you learn, because that is what the program is designed to be. It's an educational program.
Seen as one of the busiest times of the year here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, locals and visitors alike are currently preparing for the 2017 Easter weekend celebrations both on the mainland and on the Grenadine Islands, especially for the festivities being held on Bequia and Union Island. Keeping in mind that most of these festivities involve open water activities, the SVG Coast Guard Service is doing its part to sensitize the general public on safety guidelines and precautions while at sea. Nikita Tony tells us more in this report.
Promotion of safety at sea has always been a major objective of the SVG Coast Guard services, and as the Easter weekend approaches, they're urging persons to be cautious and keep in mind a few safety guidelines. Serving the local Coast Guard for some 20 years now, Chief Petty Officer Lennox Williams outlined a few challenges which can be encountered by both seabathers and vessel operators. Keeping in mind that open waters differ on both the eastern and western coasts due to the country's terrain, Williams said that even the most experienced of swimmers must be aware of water conditions and know their limits.
For right now, if you go to the east coast, today there might be a lot of sand, and tomorrow you go, it's a lot of stone. So the environment is ever changing. Take your time and walk into these environments. Foot force. Do not brave nature. Keep away from cliffs and sharp slopes. We check what the weather is like. When we get to the environment of the seafront, we check what the seafront condition is like. We do not advocate going to the beach alone. Do not practice breath holding and horseplaying. Never drink alcohol. Do not swim after consuming a large meal. You can swim, but stay within closeness to shore. Choose a condition that is favorable, that you're most comfortable, that you think that you can handle this environment, and then choose a time and bathe.
The Chief Petty Officer issued some advice on how to deal with being caught in a rip current.
We advise to go with the flow. Do not fight the current. What is going to happen is that you're going to get exhausted. And when you get exhausted, it's tired, you're going to be tired. And there's no other place for you to go but down. Go with the flow and come into another section of the beach. It's always easier to swim on the outside. Even though the conditions might be very rough, it is always easier to swim on the outside of the surf.
Placing emphasis on boat operators, Williams stressed the need for persons to pay attention to the stability of their vessels, as well as take other necessary precautions.
The conditions would not be favorable for boating. Maybe for yachts, for sailing, yes. Even yachts get into difficulty as well. Check the quality of your craft. Make sure that you have enough fuel and life-saving equipment on board. It's easier for us to locate a vessel if you have a compass and GPS location. Call us all. As soon as you get yourself in difficulty, do not wait. You call the Coast Guard and you give the Coast Guard a heads up on what is happening. It is good also to learn a little force aid. Be careful with the boats that just run into the shore. And we advise that if the public sees these senseless display of powercraft on the seafront, that you notify the Coast Guard immediately.
Advising persons to think safe and operate within safety parameters, Williams highlighted what should be done when someone has a near-drowning scenario. He further encouraged persons to be their brother's keeper, as they all play a role in exercising caution at sea.
Because that person can develop other issues relating to the near-drowning while on the beach, even conducting themselves, and they alert and they still playing. You might find that person find himself in medical problems even thereafter. So have that person checked out by a medical profession. You know, put your back to the wall and your face to the sea. And you pay attention to your children at all times. And don't even look for your children alone, look for others. The boaters, we ask that if others get into difficulty, we ask that other boaters be a brother's keeper. You not have something that is Coast Guard approved, so to speak. Something fancy, but you can throw a ball to somebody. You can have empty a water jug and throw it to them. You can pass something to them. You know, you finding yourself in difficulty does not help that person. So call for help and use the initiative. Think fast.
Dedicated to saving lives, the SVG Coast Guard Services encourages all Vincentians and visitors alike to exercise caution, both on land and at sea. Nikita Tony reporting for SVG-TV News.
Thank you, Nikita. And several Red Cross volunteers have now become trainer of trainers in the area of cardiopulmonary resuscitation, CPR. This after completing a 3-day session on CPR today at the Red Cross headquarters. Speaking with SVG-TV News via the telephone, facilitator Rinaldi Forbes of the American Red Cross Association emphasized the importance of learning CPR, which he says can save lives. Forbes pointed out that for every minute a person goes without oxygen, their organ life decreases by 10%.
I definitely believe it's necessary because anyone, anytime, when they become instructors, then they will be able to go ahead and teach first aid and CPR to many persons. The instructors will be able to teach whether it's in business, whether it's persons who come here at the headquarters here at the Red Cross, or many other, instead of one person being trained in first aid and CPR, you have 14 additional persons where they can go to the many islands that you have here to be able to teach persons first aid and CPR. And first aid and CPR is extremely necessary in case, not only in your homes, because basically that's where you may need it. For example, if you're home and an infant or an adult is choking, then you know exactly what to do, because as time goes on, every minute that goes by, it's been proven then that without oxygen, a person's chance of survival decreases by 10%. So just by you able to do something in that short period of time could mean a matter of life and death.
The Bahamian-born CPR and first aid specialists also advise persons in professional settings to ensure that there are persons who know how to perform CPR.
In business, there should be a person trained in first aid and CPR. In your schools, there should be teachers. It should be mandated where teachers, that's part of their training and teaching and so forth. In taxi cab drivers, bus drivers, both persons who have who have tour boats should be trained in first aid and CPR, because you are the person who basically are responsible for persons who are there, and should anything happen, then these people are looking on you, not only if you're a taxi cab driver to take them around, or a tour boat operator to take them out on tour, but they're still looking at you to be the person to actually be here. If something should happen, you're the one they're looking to be able to respond. So these, besides your home, these other places should have the teaching and the training for first aid and CPR.
The Girls High School RBTT young leaders are determined to create a significant impact in the Invention society through volunteerism. At a media briefing held earlier today, President Inika Macmillan took the opportunity to outline the group's objective, noting their intention to partner with several private sector entities to ensure the success of their endeavors.
For this year's Young Leaders, we have chosen to do 13 campaigns. Among them are Breakfast with the Homeless, Positivity with the Elderly, Revive the Life, Nurses in the Community, among others. Generally, we are trying to complete all of these things before May the 12th and to be as impactful as possible. So we are trying to partner with a number of organizations to bring about awareness for each campaign.
Macmillan said so far some 7 of the 13 campaigns have been completed, noting that they are vigorously pushing to have all of their initiatives completed.
Out of our 13 campaigns still to be executed include Know Your BP, Get a GT. We are hoping to volunteer with to partner with the Retired Nurses Association to conduct blood pressure and glucose tests within 6 communities in and around St. Vincent and the Grenadines to bring about awareness for the various non-communicable diseases which plague our healthcare. Also, we have our What Can I Do Today initiative, where we are hoping to utilize our social media platforms to pose the question of what can I do today. The idea is that we have persons post on our social media small activities that we as young leaders can do and further feel the Invention public can engage in to be impactful in a situation or an individual's life. We also have our cultural exchange initiative, where we as young leaders are put into different persons' environments, and therefore we are forced to adapt. This project is one of self-development.
Meantime, representative of the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, Sally Edwards, expressed her enthusiasm on the work being done by the GHS young leaders. Speaking on the importance of the eradication of the Aedes aegypti mosquito, Edwards stressed on the significance of teamwork.
I'm here in St. Vincent doing a series of workshops where we are trying to increase awareness about the Aedes aegypti mosquito. so as to reduce the level of disease caused by the mosquito. Our health is a shared responsibility, and only together can we all work to reduce the mosquito in and around our own homes and in our communities. And I hope that with the girls and their great work that they've been doing in the communities, they can also play a role in this work, because together is the only way that we're going to be able to combat this mosquito. So it's been a great pleasure to be here. Our surroundings need to be kept very clean and free of water so that the mosquito can't breed, and together working with some of the less advantaged people in our community, as well as some of the elderly who don't have the same mobility that we have, and some of the less fortunate members. It's great to see that you are going to be there helping them in the communities, and I hope that together we can reduce the Aedes aegypti population.
The young leaders are guided under the RBTT's team, I Am We Volunteering for Impact.